Hi, this is Nayumi Cee speaking. So for today's topic, we'll talk about one of the topics that some newbies are asking me to cover. And so today, I'll be covering that particular topic. And so yes, today's video will talk about what is AHT, how do we compute AHT, and also we will be talking about why is it that having lower AHT is better, and we will be also giving you what are the common call types wherein it ups our AHT, and of course I'll give you 8 tips on how we can lower down our AHT, and this is based off of my experience as a call center agent, and of course based off of the observation that I have with my teammates who are very good in terms of managing their calls. Alright, so if you're interested with that, just keep on watching. Alright, so yes, let's start with what is an AHT. So basically, AHT is an acronym for average handling time. Some other people would say average handle time, but that's just the same. So this is mainly the time you've spent talking to the customer to resolve his or her concern. Alright, so this is based off of your non-talk time and your talk time as well. So when you say non-talk time, so those are the times when the customer is put on hold and you're not talking. And your talk time is something that you and the customer are talking to each other. Alright? So how do you compute your AHT? So in our company, we compute our AHT based on the number of calls we took, and of course the minutes or the seconds we spent talking to the customer. Alright, for example, you were able to take in 8 calls, and it took you 8 minutes to finish the call. So it's just 8 multiplied by 60, because 1 minute is 60 seconds. Then your average handling time is 480. Now I want to clarify that each account has different average handling time that they have to follow, and this is where having lower AHT is better. So there are multiple benefits of having lower AHT. For example, an account, for example, in a billing account, in a telco account, by the way, the average handling time for that is around 630 minutes. And that is a high AHT already. That is around 10.5 minutes. Now, why is it that telco accounts has the higher average handling time as compared to retail accounts, booking accounts, and financial accounts? Most of the time, the reason for that is telco account is a little bit more complicated as compared to those accounts I've mentioned a while ago. So when it comes to financial accounts, all you have to do is to take payments and anything like that. But in terms of billing concern, for example, you have to explain the bill, you have to give ways on how to lower down the bill, you have to read the ledger and such. So it may really take some time. Now, also, one of the reasons why lower AHT is better is because you have to follow certain metrics in a daily basis, and it will sum up in a monthly basis. So for example, in a company there are certain incentives, right? For example, your monthly incentive is around 15,000 pesos, and in order for you to get that, you have certain metrics to follow, and one of those is your average handling time. So for example, the average handling time that you should maintain is 630, and that is equivalent to 10.5 minutes. Correct me if I'm wrong. So if ever that your average handling time for that particular month exceeded the 630 threshold, or you've gotten 650 instead of 630, or your AHT is 700, then there is a tendency where you will not be able to get that full amount of 14,000 pesos for the incentive, right? So that's the benefit of it. If you have lower AHT and you hit the other goals, such as your sales, the transfer rate, or the promoters or detractors that you've got, if promoters, if ever that you pass all of those metrics, then 14,000 pesos is easy for you to get for that particular fiscal. That's why it's so important for us to maintain our AHT. Alright, so now let's dive into what are the common calls that we receive wherein it eats up our AHT. So the first one I noticed is those talkative customers. So those who are so talkative that they wouldn't allow you to explain, like they wouldn't allow you to talk. They would like interrupt you whenever you wanted to speak up and help the customer with his concerns. So those talkative ones really eats up our AHT. Another one are those irate ones, because it may take some time for you to calm them down, and it may take some time as well to vent out their frustrations, because they sometimes repeat their words over and over again to tell you how frustrated they are regarding the situation, regarding what happened to them. And another one are those granny customers. So those old customers who most of the time would ask you to walk them through, or how do I make online payments, or how do I place an order. And so whenever you receive a call like that, then you really have to be patient, and most of the time it really eats up your AHT. Alright, and also those customers who are so friendly. So those who are the ones like building rapport to you, even if you're not building rapport to them. So those customers that has free time, like they have unlimited time in the world, like they're not doing anything, so they'll just call you, talk to you with their life and all. So there are cases when you will experience that. I myself experienced such customer, and it took me over an hour before we ended the call, and I really have to end the call because it's already the end of my shift. So yeah, and yeah, those are the common calls that you will be receiving, wherein it will really eat up your AHT. That's why I prepared to you 8 tips, which I've typed in yeah, here in my phone, so as for me to give it to you. So the first one is, the first tip I can give you to lower down your AHT is master tool navigation. Now I understand if you are a newbie, you may be having difficulty or trouble navigating your tools, or especially if you are using 2 computers, and inside your computers there are other tools that you will be using, the transfer tool, the tool where you process upgrades and packages, the tool where you chat other department, and anything like that. So it can be challenging, especially if you're a newbie, and it may take some time for you to hover your mouse, especially if you don't know where to go, what's the proper rate code you will be using for that particular order. So yes, first things first, you have to master tool navigation. And at the very start, like during your training days, you are already allowed to use the computer in the training room, and then navigate the system, navigate the tool, so you already are familiar. And if ever that you applied pre-pandemic, we have this what we call side barging, wherein when we are about to take in calls already, we go inside the production floor, and we like sit beside the agent taking in calls, and for example, we will be listening to them taking in calls, and then our trainer will let them or will let us use the mouse of that particular agent, and will let us process the request and like navigate the tool, the system. So that is mainly helping us to be familiar of the tool we're using, and so was for us to efficiently help the customer and be able to resolve the problem as quickly as possible. Now, the second tip that I can possibly give you to lower down the AHT is to know the answers to common questions. So there are really customers who will just give us a call to get basic like general inquiry, and as an agent you should be knowledgeable of that. So for example, the customer is inquiring about package for internet. Now you want to make sure that you know the pricing for each specific internet speed. For example, for 200 megabytes the pricing for that is $49.99. For 800 megabytes per second speed, the price for that would be $69.99. For gigabit, that would be $89.99. So you should be familiar of those pricing already, the speed, the name of that package, for how long would that be, like those basic information. You should be familiar with that already, because if you did not listen to your trainer during your training days, or you did not use your knowledge base in order to come up with ideas about the common call drivers that you will be receiving, then you will be putting the customer on hold to ask your supervisor, okay, what is the answer to the customer's inquiry. It may take some time for you to ask or to gather an answer from your subject matter expert if you have one, especially if you are in a team wherein there are, for example, 25 agents that your SME is helping you out. So it may really take some time before he can accommodate you. And so you really have to make sure that you know the basics. Alright, so yes. Number 3 is never abuse using your ACW or after call work as well as your hold time. So there are techniques, of course, multiple techniques in order for us to prevent that from happening. Now, in order to avoid using your after call work is basically at least 30 seconds to a minute where you can document the customer's account, send emails, and anything like that. That's something that you would do right after the call. So if you want to lower down your AHT, you should be able to do multitasking. Like the moment the two of you are talking to each other, you're helping the customer resolving the issue, you are also annotating the account, you are already composing an email that you will be sending to the customer, so you don't need to use your after call work. And right after the call, you should be going on avail or on auto in and be able to take in and receive another call, right? And another tip, in order for you to not use your hold time most of the time, is to process the customer request while they have you on the phone. Like you can kind of entertain them a little bit while you're processing the request by saying, have you eaten your breakfast yet? How's the weather in the US? Questions like things like that while you're processing the request, so you don't have to like put the customer on hold and then go back to the customer once you're done. And it also is a good way for you to build connection to the customer while processing their request, and that may be considered as not too transactional because you are being friendly with them. Alright, another one is that be direct to the point or avoid being too wordy. So that is my problem actually, and I am working on it. So the reason why I am being too wordy is because I want to be as specific as possible to my customer. Like I want to give them the exact information, like I want them to understand what I'm trying to say. I want them to know what's the benefits, what's the pros and cons, advantages, disadvantages of this and that. Like I want to educate them properly, and so most of the time it takes me so much time to like explain to them, especially if they have some clarifications or further questions regarding the information I provided them. So as much as possible, if you wanted to lower down the AHT or average handling time, you might wanna Be specific and direct to the point. For example, a customer is asking how much is 200 megabytes per second of internet speed. You just tell them, alright, if it's on a promotion, you can get it for $49.99, but if not, you can get it for $80. And something like that. So that is just being on point. You still was able to acknowledge or answer what's the customer's inquiry. All right. Next is don't do over rapport, because this is when your AHT would really suffer. So this is again when you have this granny customer. Most of them has so much time in the world, like they are living alone, and so they would tell you about their life, their past experiences, their struggles, and anything like that. So I've experienced that most of the time, and it can take up to 30 minutes to an hour if you will do over rapport. Like when you say over rapport, that is when the customer is telling you their personal life, you also share your personal life to them, and in return, of course, they will comment on what your personal life is, and then the conversation goes on and on and on until you just said, okay, it's been an hour since we're talking. See? Alright, so another point is that be clear when you're speaking. So yes, this is something important, especially if you're talking to granny people or those who has problem hearing because if you wouldn't speak clearly, then the customer would always ask you to repeat yourself. And then when you repeat yourself, of course, you have to start from the very beginning. You have to, to tell them exactly what you have just said. And if you tell them that in a minute, then that would add up. So yeah, be clear, especially when talking to grannies. Next is be an active listener. So this is so important to every single customer of yours. You want to make sure that you are attentive and you don't ask your customers, what is it again? Please repeat it. I didn't get it. It can cause them to feel upset, and letting them repeat would just add up to your average handling time. So if the first time they told you what's the problem is, and then you already know how to resolve that, then it would be easier for you to resolve the problem, right? And then the last one would be resolve the inquiry efficiently and take as many calls as you can. Alright, so yes, when you resolve the customer's concern efficiently, that means that you were able to do first call resolution, like you were able to help the customer as quickly as possible, and at the same time that would prevent them from calling back. Because most of the time, if your average handling time is super low, that means that you're not really very effective, because you are not maybe you're not delivering some of the important details that the customer should be knowing. Like for example, the customer came in to inquire about getting her bill paid by October 25, but then you weren't able to ask the customer what's the payment method that she will be using. And then the customer said that, oh my gosh, I forgot to tell the agent that I'll be using a different card, and then the customer will call back. And that is not a very good or an effective customer service, because you let the customer call back to you after less than an hour or less than a day, and that would really hit your metrics for repeat calls. Okay, so and also, yes, as much as possible, take in as many calls as possible, because that would really lower down your average handling time. Alright, so yes, those are basically the tips that I can give you about lowering down the AHT. So if you have a call center experience already and you have other tips to share with me or with us, then please write that down in the comment section down below, because we'll really appreciate that. And by the way, before I end this video, I would like to tell you that I am selling the product that helped me in healing my acne breakout. So I know that I still have lots of pimples and pimple scars after these days, but it was really difficult during, you know, the past like a year ago when I really struggled with my acne. So I was able to use this product. I'll give it to you. This is the Brilliant Skin. This is like a rejuvenating set. This really helped me in getting this it's still not so clear skin, but you know, very far from what I have a year ago. So I'll post my picture in here so you can see how I look before I use this product. So I want to help you out in, you know, if you have pimples especially, you can use this product. I have a shop and this is where you can buy it, you know, cheaper price, and we also give out, you know, like a free cotton, so you don't have to purchase your own cotton. So I'd be happy if you will get this one as well, especially if you have pimples just like me. So it actually comes with soap, and it also comes with sunscreen, and it comes with rejuvenating cream, and of course it also comes with toner. Alright, so this is very good to use, and up until today I'm still using it. So yeah, I feel like that is actually the only product that helped me in order for my pimples to go away. You know, I still have pimples especially today, but not as much as what I have before, and this helped me a lot. So yes, hope you purchase from the Nayumi Cee shop, and I'll see you again in my next video. Bye!